That relief of residents and businesses in hurricane-hit islands in the Bahamas. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, October 31st. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Harris. Good evening. Bahamas Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has announced that residents and businesses on hurricane-hit Abaco, the Keys and Grand Bahama will be exempt from paying value-added tax, VAT, on a range of items until June 2020. The new tax relief policy is part of the government's efforts to stimulate the economies of areas affected by the Category 5 Hurricane Dorian, which battered the northern Bahamas from September 1st to 3rd. The Prime Minister made the announcement at a town hall meeting on Wednesday. We get more in this ZNS Network News report.
Fruit and vegetable juice, clothes, shoes, accessories, cleaning supplies, beds and bedding material, hardware supplies, building, landscaping and pest control supplies, electrical fixtures and materials, electrical generators, farming, fishing and manufacturing equipment, carts, protective and safety gear, household furniture and appliances, solar panels, mosquito netting, plumbing fixtures and materials, office supplies and equipment, tents, air conditioning units, and other equipment. Value-added tax on fuel for generators in areas still without electricity will also be VAT-free. An Office of the Prime Minister release confirmed that details and start date for the new policy will be announced. The Prime Minister also revealed plans to establish the Bahamas National Recovery and Reconstruction Trust Fund, an independent, non-political body to help fund home and building repairs.
Over in Guyana, talks between the Alliance for Change, AFC, the minority party in the coalition, a Partnership for National Unity, APNU, on a prime ministerial candidate are set to be restarted following a meeting between the party leaders on Thursday. Talks between the two sides were reportedly stalled over the selection of a prime ministerial candidate, and with David Granger's running mate for the upcoming regional and general elections. But both Granger and APNU lead negotiator Valda Lawrence refuted claims that the negotiations were on hold or had broken down. Ramjatan and Granger met along with chief negotiator for the People's National Congress Reform-controlled APNU, Valda Lawrence, and her AFC counterpart, David Patterson. And while Patterson was not prepared to say more than that the progress was made in the talks, Lawrence said APNU and AFC were virtually inseparable. We get more in this Newsroom Guyana report.
The current Cummings-Borg Accord, which the APNU and the AFC signed in February 2015 to form the coalition, gives the AFC the prime ministerial post. In August, two teams were appointed from the parties to review the accord, and one of the areas up for review was the selection of the PM candidate for the upcoming elections. The AFC has already selected its leader, Kemraj Ramjatan, to run for the post, but the APNU was not in agreement. President David Granger, leader of the APNU, and Ramjatan, who is currently acting as Prime Minister, met at State House at 11 hours on Thursday. Ramjatan left the venue without offering any comment. They were accompanied by Minister of Public Health and Chair of the People's National Congress Reform, Valda Lawrence, and AFC General Secretary, David Patterson. Following the meeting, which lasted for 1 hour, Lawrence spoke with the media.
We had some bumps in the road, and so we came to the two leaders, and we have been able to have a very good meeting with them. They've sent us back to do the tasks that they've given to us.
Patterson said progress has been made, but refused to answer questions about direct engagements on the prime ministerial candidate.
Both sides has some work to do, and we've agreed that we will do the work as soon as possible, so that we've given ourselves some time frames, which I wouldn't give to you, but we've given ourselves some time frames, and we're both committed to work to those time frames. So the outtake from the meeting is progress.
At the end of the
progress with that, I mean, the AFC came out last week and said that they had a very pressing issue and that they were not willing to go forward.
The outcome of the meeting, is progress.
The AFC had said it will not continue engagements unless it gets APNU support for Ramjatan as the coalition PM candidate. The two sides are expected to meet on Friday to continue talks.
Staying in Guyana, a new political party, Change Guyana, is promising that if it wins the next elections, nurses and teachers will no longer have to pay taxes. The party is putting up businessman Robert Badal as its presidential candidate and accountant Nigel Hines as his running mate as candidate for Prime Minister. Newsroom's Bibi Katoon reports.
Badal was a strong supporter of the APNU-AFC coalition during the 2015 elections campaign. Almost 5 years later, he feels the coalition government has failed the electorate as the previous PPP government did. The party leaders provided a list of plans and objectives, chief among which is exempting nurses and teachers from taxes and eradicating poverty.
We need to implement tax incentives to boost economic development. Properly implemented tax incentives will reduce unemployment, increase foreign and local investment, and reduce poverty. Our tax system must make exempt from taxes the salaries of our teachers and nurses to encourage and incentivize the delivery of social services.
A few broad initiatives include the following. And Nigel made my job much easier to narrow down the list of things I have here. Accelerate economic growth through energizing the private sector to create a fertile environment for investments. An aggressive program of poverty alleviation by creating jobs and giving Guyanese a greater share of their income.
Badal also promised to fix the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated, which has faced heavy criticisms over the years. Change Guyana is the fifth political party to be launched this year. It follows the Citizenship Initiative, a New and United Guyana, Federal United, and the Liberty and Justice Party. The parties are gearing up to contest the March 2, 2020 general and regional elections.
Tobago's first Chief Secretary, Ho Choi Charles, says he is in support of self-government for the island, but not separation from the mainland Trinidad. His comments follow a promise from the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Watson Duke, to his supporters that if his party wins the Tobago West and East seats in the 2020 elections, the island will realize self-governance within 6 months. Charles, who is a member of the One Tobago Voice political party, says Duke is not about the people of Tobago, but himself. We get more in this TV6 News report.
And we can make it with Trinidad having its self-government, Tobago having its self-government, and then we have a government of Trinidad and Tobago that determine those matters like coinage, postage, because we're the same people.
Charles, commenting on Sunday's election campaign launch of the PDP, said, one thing has been made clear. Mr. Duke does not speak for all of Tobago.
The Prime Minister has said that Mr. Duke is an agent of the UNC. Are you going that far?
I am not. I don't know who is the agent of. All I can say to you definitively is that Mr. Duke is the agent of some group or some person that is not Tobago. In fact, he's ignorant and irresponsible from the statements I've just heard. Very ignorant and irresponsible. And this is why I would have called him when we started to talk about One Tobago Voice.
Charles said Duke's main interest is not the well-being of the people of Tobago.
Do you think that Mr. Duke has Tobago's interests at heart?
Mr. Duke is about himself alone.
Asked if he was threatened by the hundreds gathered at the campaign launch on Sunday by the PDP, Charles said he was not. But he admitted some who said they aligned themselves to the One Tobago Voice party were at the PDP launch at Magdalena on Sunday. He was not surprised, though.
I saw the advertisement, I've been looking at it, and all I am seeing and hearing is come the drinks will flow and the food will flow. Now it's Christmas time. Anybody will attend a function like that.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Jamaica's government says gangs are the #1 cause of murders and violent crimes in the country. More news after the break.
When you think of what we went through with Hurricane Irma, you had to be able to recognize what are the things we need to do to cope with the aftermath. The psychological trauma, to me, is probably the most telling on a lot of people.
Preparedness is the key. So when people are prepared, when people have what their resources in terms of how they can cope with the disaster, they're better able to be able to return to their normal life. They're better able to make decisions that are informed for themselves and for their family and then for their community. Be ready. Look, listen, and link.
Roy Rayon is an exceptional musician. His music is for all category of people. You're a Christian, you're unsaved, you can enjoy his music.
What do you think about him performing? How is he as a performer? You were watching him today.
Well, he endeavors to keep the crowd, alive, and that is good. And he could be a good master of ceremony too.
Let your spirit take to flight. Let your heart run free and wild. Find your soul in Dominica, the nature isle.
Welcome back. The Jamaica government says gangs are currently the #1 cause of murders and violent crime in the country. And it says it has been an arduous task apprehending and prosecuting gang members. And it pointed out the challenges to bringing about successful prosecutorial outcomes. National Security Minister Dr. Harris Chang, in a statement to Parliament on anti-gang measures, spoke about the systematic, well-financed and structurally complex nature of the gangs operating in Jamaica at present. He said the data suggests that as of August this year, there were 381 gangs responsible for perpetrating the most heinous crimes locally and also mobilizing transnational criminal activities. Chang said the rationale for the increasing number of gangs has been tied to several internal feuds among gangs across police divisions, resulting in splits and several factions of the parent gang being recognized as separate gangs. The National Security Minister said the key factors contributing to gang splits include increased access to firearms and ammunition and increased sources of funds independent of gang activity. Last year, 1,287 murders were reported in Jamaica, and so far this year, more than 1,000 people have been killed. While we stay in Jamaica, there are complaints from members of Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee about the pace of the development of the cannabis industry. As we hear in this TVJ News report, the members say progress is too slow, and they're particularly concerned about small farmers.
Back at another Public Administration and Appropriations Committee PAAC sitting, the Cannabis Licensing Authority CLA had a slew of improvements it hoped would allay concerns about alienating small farmers from the industry. Issues such as expungement of criminal records for farmers arrested for small quantities of ganja and waivers for small farmers who meet the requirements to be licensed as a legitimate player in the industry. But when CLA representatives were asked about the 2 pilot ganja farm projects in Accompong, St. Elizabeth and Orange Hill, Westmoreland, committee members were less than impressed. Sophia Wellington chairs the committee responsible for the Alternative Development Program, which allows farmers to transition into the legal cannabis trade. She gave an update on a site visit to the Orange Hill ganja farm earlier this month.
There are some issues, it seems, in terms of an encumbrance, in terms of the lands that we actually viewed. So we want to be able to straighten those out, to be able to tell the Orange Hill farmers whether or not that land will be, they'll be able to use that particular parcel of land.
I will just say to you that it has been over 9 months trying to ascertain who has control of those lands. It is the most inefficient thing I have seen in ages, that you can't find out who have control of your own government lands. Something is absolutely wrong.
The PAAC chairman urged the permanent secretary for the industry ministry to pass on the matter to the minister for urgent attention.
The Agro-Invest Corporation and the Sugar Company of Jamaica are in the process of identifying lands to make available at concessionary rates to incentivize farmers in the whole cannabis business.
The ministry can sit back and keep saying to the farmers, find some land, and then when the farmers find the land, you come and say, well, that one can't use, go find another one. There comes a time where the ministry must become active or this program is going to go no further.
Ahead in sports, West Indies women and India women meet in the first of the 3 ODIs. We'll be right back.
Spartan.
I'm good, man.
You all right?
Augusta, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about last week. Well, no, let's flash back to season 1 because he was a competitor in season 1. So let's talk about your journey, your growth and your development from season 1.
Well, falling out of season 1 give me more determination and more energy to come back in season 2 and take over still.
Let me go to Voltage because Voltage is new. So let me ask Voltage, what is the worst date you ever went out on?
Well, I met this girl on Instagram, right?
Instagram?
Yeah. We had a little thing going. So, like, we talk for like,
The CSME. What's in it for me? You are invited to a public town hall session on the CARICOM single market and economy, featuring the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Motley, the CARICOM Secretary General, Ambassador Erwin LaRocque, along with other panelists, at the Walcott Warner Theatre in the Errol Barrow Center for Creative Imagination on the UWI Kayville campus from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday, 4th November 2019. A public town hall on the CSME, broadcast live throughout the region via the Caribbean Media Corporation and UWTV. A production of the CARICOM Secretariat in collaboration with the Caribbean Development Bank, the Government of Barbados, the University of the West Indies, and UWTV.
West Indies women will face India women on Friday in the first of 3 ODIs at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. Cricket West Indies have recalled veterans Shameen Campbell and Shadeen Nation, who made their last ODI appearance in the 3-match series against England in June. They're joined by newcomers fast bowler Shanisha Hector and all-rounder Aliyah Aline. The squad will be led by captain Stephanie Taylor. Deandra Doughton, who has been out since February due to a shoulder injury, will miss out on the India series. Hayley Matthews is set to return for the 3rd ODI after completing an 8-match ban. Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams believes the West Indies Emerging Players Squad's inclusion in the Regional Super 50 is a crucial development initiative. The former West Indies captain said the move serves as an avenue for young players to express themselves at a competitive domestic level, which will further enhance their skills. The squad comprises the likes of exciting Barbadian all-rounder Justin Graves, dashing stroke maker Kimani Melius, and promising fast bowler Jermaine Levy. Leg-spinning Trinidadian all-rounder Yannick Correa will lead the side with Melius as his deputy, a move which Chief Selector Roger Harper said was based on experience. Floyd Reefer, who up until last month served as head coach of the Windies side, will take over the helm of the unit. He says he'll be looking for improvement in every department. The side will have their hands full in Group B, where they have been pitted against host Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, last year's losing finalists Guyana Jaguars, Windward Islands Volcanoes, and United States. The tournament runs from November 6th to December 1st. Meanwhile, Windward Islands Volcano's latest batting recruit, Desron Maloney, is eager to make his mark in regional domestic competition. The 28-year-old was one of two uncapped players named in the 14-man squad for the regional Super 50 tournament. The right-handed Maloney forced his way into the selection frame when he struck a handsome 100 against Dominica in the Windward Islands two-day championship recently, en route to gathering an aggregate of 171 runs for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He said being part of the Volcanoes franchise has already boosted his game, especially having learned from the other experienced players in the setup. Maloney is already looking beyond the Super 50 and he's hoping to have a long, successful career at regional level. Well, Jamaica Scorpions have been practicing under lights ahead of the regional Super 50. The sessions were to prepare them for the 4-day night matches that they will play in St. Kitts and Nevis during the group stage. We get more in this TVJ News report.
As far as the batting is concerned, Coach Andre Coley was left pleased as 543 runs were scored between the two teams in 98.3 overs. Nkrumah Bonner 85, Aldane Thomas 60 and Asad Fuddad in 56 all got half centuries in Powell's 11's 281 all out, while Derval Green 48, Kennard Lewis 44 and Stephen Taylor 40 also got starts for Green's 11. There were also wickets for Akeem Fraser and Gordon Bryan with 3 and Markina Mindley and O'Shane Thomas with 2 each.
Which is what, chatting with the captain, Ravi, we wanted a game that was going to be competitive. We wanted a pitch that was also going to be conducive to that, and we had some good performances. First inning score was 282, I believe it was, and then in chasing it, the second team made 260 odd. So we were happy. We wanted to bat out the 50 overs or 100 overs, which we did that. So we're quite happy with some of the skills that were shown as well. Batters got some runs, bowlers got in some good skills as well, yeah.
Team captain Rothman Powell was, however, not pleased with one aspect of the team on Tuesday night.
I think the biggest worry now is the feeling, especially feeling on the lights. We see a lot of catches being dropped and a lot of misfields, so that is the only area that we are of concern now.
The Scorpions will play their final warm-up game on Friday at Sabina Park.
Switching sports now, the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, appears to have had a change of heart regarding the future of Reggae Girls head coach Hugh Menzies. Earlier this month, the JFF president said a board meeting on October 26 would decide Menzies' fate. We get the latest in this report from TVJ Sports.
Eyebrows were raised when Menzies was absent from the bench during the recent Caribbean leg of Olympic qualifiers at the National Stadium. Menzies had earlier said he would be available for most of the tournament once he was paid the sums outstanding for the use of his personal credit card. But the JFF opted to continue with the technical team led by Lauren Donaldson for the tournament, which the Jamaicans easily won, notching over 30 goals in the process. Earlier this month, Ricketts revealed that the future of the outspoken Menzies would be decided by the board last Saturday. But speaking with TVJ Sports on Wednesday, Ricketts appeared to soften his stance.
I will make the findings public in short order, but I get the feeling that there won't be too many changes, but the real issue is that the senior team, really after the Olympic qualifiers, will be dormant for a while. So we now want to concentrate on the under-17s and the under-20s for the World Cup qualifiers coming up.
And with the next FIFA window starting next Monday, the JFF is yet to find an opponent for the Reggae Girls ahead of the next round of Olympic qualifiers scheduled for next February.
We have been trying, we're working on it, and as soon as we find a team that we think is compatible, for want of a better word, then we will have the girls engaged in this practice game.
Meanwhile, the JFF president revealed that discussions are taking place to confirm the technical staff ahead of the qualifying round of the World Cup for both the women's under-17 and under-20 reggae girls.
Well, we have had very preliminary discussions with Busby and Lorne himself. So we, like I said, will make all the details available in very short order.
The Under-20 Women's World Cup will be held in Nigeria next July, while the Under-17 Women's World Cup will be held in India in November of next year.
And finally, Guyana will host the much-anticipated CrossFit Challenge on Sunday. 35 athletes will compete, as we hear in this report from HGP Nightly News.
The event will see Guyana's best going up against their Surinamese counterparts, with the scale athletes and RX team competing in 3 events each. Event organizer Jamie McDonald explained the competition breakdown.
We've got 2 separate competitions going on. We've got what we call the scale competition, which is basically our novice competition, similar to how they have novice bodybuilding, novice powerlifting. This is where we start gathering our new athletes and we do athlete development. And we also have a teams competition, which we call the teams RX competition. RX means in CrossFit as prescribed, which means you're doing all of the top end type of weights and movements, the more complex, difficult movements. So you're going to see our more seasoned athletes in the RX category.
He also added the CrossFit competition, which involved a mixture of gymnastics, cardio, and weightlifting, will be a 3-hour event.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Through the region, across the sea, to the islands also green, we connect you to all the Caribbean. Happy birthday to Lee. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Lee. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Lee.
The CSME. What's in it for me? You are invited to a public town hall session on the CARICOM single market and economy, featuring the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Mottley, the CARICOM Secretary General, Ambassador Erwin LaRocque, along with other panelists, at the Walcott Warner Theatre in the Errol Barrow Center for Creative Imagination on the UWI Kville campus from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday, 4th November 2019. A public town hall on the CSME, broadcast live throughout the region via the Caribbean Media Corporation and UWTV. A production of the CARICOM Secretariat in collaboration with the Caribbean Development Bank, the Government of Barbados, the University of the West Indies, and UWTV.
Again, the major developments of this day. Bahamas Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announces that residents and businesses on hurricane-hit Abaco, the Abaco Keys, and Grand Bahama will be exempt from paying value-added tax on a range of items until June 2020. And in sports, CWI Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams believes the inclusion of the West Indies emerging players squad in the regional Super 50 is a crucial development initiative. And that's Caribbean Newsline for news and sport around the clock. Subscribe to CaribNews.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.